Hello everyone, a very good afternoon to you. Welcome to the Spielberg Circuit here in Austria. We're situated in the Styrian region of Austria for Ferrari Challenge this weekend. Our Trofeo Pirelli cars, as you can see, are lined up on the grid, ready for their second race of the weekend. In weather conditions that are changing, as Adrian Sutil makes his way to his car. Their qualifying sessions earlier on today, very, very wet indeed, and now it, I believe, is not raining. However, the track will still be damp, and I can't imagine that any of the drivers have gone to the grid without wet weather tyres on, because as you can see at the bottom of the track here, it's still very wet indeed. Welcome to Spielberg. Hope you enjoyed our little postcard, and what a beautiful backdrop this circuit has. And here is our 2023 calendar for Europe. As you can see, Valencia and Misano now are in the books. Here we are in Spielberg with the sport race to come at Le Mans of the 24-hour race, then Estoril, Spa-Francorchamps, and of course the finale Mondiali, which will be in Mugello in Tuscany right at the end of October. Please follow us on @Ferrari Races. Whatever your social media preference, we would love you to be part of it. And just taking a look at that shot as well, there are parts of the track that appear to be drying fairly significantly. So that's where we are then. It's around about 2 hours south of Vienna, I would say, depending on traffic conditions. In, as I said earlier, the Styrian region of Austria. There's still quite a lot of cloud cover, as you can see. 11 degrees, the current air temperature, track temperature 15 degrees. There's very little wind around. Just gusts of 2 kilometers per hour, that is all. You can never bet against there being a rain shower here, and that's very likely to be the case during the course of the race. Adrian Sutil had an extraordinary race yesterday. He had to come back having been turned around, and he is with, or I understand Ludovica is down there potentially with Adrian Sutil right now. Good afternoon to you, Ludo.
Good afternoon to everyone, and welcome back at Spielberg in Austria for the Sunday of this third round of Ferrari Challenge Europe. Everything is ready for race 2 of Trofeo Pirelli. In this morning was very competitive and exciting qualification, but I want to concentrate to the present. I'm here on the grid with Adrian Sutil, ex-Formula 1 driver. Yesterday had a good race, but after the race 1 he inflicted by the race direction of a penalty of 5 seconds, but today this penalty was cancelled. Adrian, you can tell us more about what happened yesterday and today with the race direction and the penalty?
Yesterday was quite straightforward. I think they just didn't see exactly the situation, because I was actually passing a car inside on the last minute. He let me by. And then on the exit of the corner, I went a bit wide, but I didn't gain any advantage. And so the track limits for this reason didn't really make sense and didn't count. So they were quite straightforward to remove it. And so I kept the 4th position for yesterday's race.
And Adrian, today you start from the 2nd position near Benz Valiant, a very competitive driver. What do you expect from this race and from Benz?
You know, every race is different. Everything can happen. I drive as best as I can, and that's it.
Thank you so much. Have a good time. And continuing our journey on the grid today from the pole position start, Benz Valens. After Misano, he improved himself with the car and the times. And in this morning, he made a perfect qualification, and this is the first pole position of this season for he. But I want to know more about the expectation for this race. Benz, good morning and congratulations for your first pole position in this morning. You had a perfect qualification session, and I want to ask you, what do you expect from this race and this wet condition?
I think we had a very solid qualifying. We had a very solid pace. We kept on improving, and in the end we won by 7/10. So I'm really looking forward to the race. Obviously, it's going to be a very tough race since other drivers around me are way more experienced. But I'll try to do my best and hope for a podium finish.
You have good work with all the teams, and did you find the perfect setup with the car?
Certainly, we have a really good setup. The team worked very well on the car, and I think we're in a really good position to even win the race. So.
Okay, thank you, Benson. Congratulations again. Back to you guys.
Thank you so much, Ludo. I just want to go back to Adrian Sutil, as we were hearing there from Benz Valent. Adrian Sutil's race yesterday, he got turned around in turn number 1. He then had to fight his way back through the rest of the pack, and it was a remarkable drive from Adrian Sutil, and well done to him. He'll be, I think, pretty confident going from P2 on the grid. Of course, we will be bringing you the grid in full when the cars are off on their formation lap. Now, but following qualifying, the conjecture was that probably we would start the race behind the safety car because the conditions were so torrid, but I don't think that's going to be the case now. Here is the track presentation then. Turns 1 and 2 complete the first sector. The second sector, you begin rolling downhill between turns 3 and 4, and then occupying 5 and 6 also in that downhill trajectory. And that's the same through turns 7, 8, 9 and 10 before completing a lap. Which is something like 4.3 kilometers with 10 turns, 3 of them left and 7 of them are right. Let's meet Alexander Nussbaumer right now.
My name is Alexander Nussbaumer. I'm a Coppa Shell driver, Ferrari Challenge Europe. I'm here with GOM Scuderia GT in Spielberg, my home racetrack. Welcome. This is my Austria. You can see all the mountains, the rivers, the lakes. I love it to live here in Austria. It's a typical place what you see here in Spielberg. But now stop talking. Come with me. Go on board. We go on track. Come on. Here we start the round down the mainstream. 6th gear, braking at 110. Then turn in. Avoid to lose the car here and stay in the track limit, and then the main straight uphill. And then accelerate is to turn 5. Turn 5, it's very tricky, it has a late apex. Brake at 60, turn in, shift down 4th gear, and now stay on throttle, flat out. Look at the braking point and then be in the proper position to take all the speed down in sec for the next quick part. Moving here down 4th and now flat out. You can see already the start-finishing lining. But now I show you a secret place. It's here, it's the podium. Wish me luck to see you again afterwards at the prize-giving ceremony, and I hope to be at this place. P1, that would be great.
Thank you very much to Alexander Nussbaumer. He is a Coppa Shell driver. We'll be seeing him in the Coppa Shell race, which follows the Trofeo Pirelli race today. Benz Valent then, a very good performance in qualifying today, and occupying that P1 position by a number of tenths. He did really well for Rosso Corse and Ferrari Budapest, and he will be hoping for a conversion of that P1 in qualifying into P1 in the race. We will see a lot of very fast drivers behind him, of course, all of those that want to make up places. Now, too, bear in mind that we have 2 categories within the race. The Pirelli drivers are those drivers with the red strip across the top of the car, across the windscreen, and the AM drivers are the drivers with the white strip across the top of the windscreen. And we will be going to the grid and bringing you the grid in full in just a moment time, because the formation lap is about to start. So the safety car then leads the cars away on their formation lap. Always a rolling start in the Ferrari Challenge, and they line up side by side with Benz Valent going from pole position. Adrian Sutil is alongside him. It's Alessio Dono and Thomas Fleming. They're going from P3 and P4 on the grid. As we move to row 3 of the grid, we find Szymon Ladniak, good quality from Szymon, and Max Mugelli alongside him. They are P5 and P6. Then we get to the AM drivers, and the best of those was Danilo Del Favaro, P7. Franz Hengstler is alongside him, a danger man from there, going from P8. Hanno Laskowski, yesterday's Trofeo Pirelli AM race winner. He has Philippe Pret for company on the 5th row of our Trofeo Pirelli grid. It's James Owen and Kim Eriksson on the 6th row, P11 and P12 for those drivers. And then to the 7th row of the grid, where we find Mohammed Hamdi and Andreas Berg Sorensen, P13 and P14. Next, we go to row 8, where we find Nick Haller and Heinz Otto Blank, and they are ahead of Armin Arifpour and David Gosner, completing our Trofeo Pirelli grid, the mix of Pirelli drivers and Pirelli AM drivers too. There you can see turn number 4 as you begin the roller coaster down. And we're on board with Adrian Sutil, weaving from side to side, trying to generate just a bit of temperature into the tyres then ahead of the start of the race. He will be hoping for a great start, of course, heading into turn number 1. Is he going to be able to take it to Bens Valent and take that P1 position? On board also with Heinz Otto Blank then. He's going from P16 on the grid, P10 within his category. And be very interesting to see what he can do from there. So then wipers still going. Visibility across certainly the first few laps is going to be compromised perhaps for the drivers because of the spray that will come off from the cars in front. So the only one that won't be affected by that will be Bens Valent, potentially, assuming he does convert that pole position into the race lead. Still a lot of water on the painted curbs, and all the drivers will be doing their level best to avoid those. I'm not convinced that track limit's going to be much of an issue because the drivers ain't going to want to push too far onto that painted stuff because it is going to be very, very slippery indeed. Into the garages we go, where the tension begins to build ahead of the start of the race. From FF Corse, there's Ed standing by. His driver, Tom Fleming, of course, going from P4 on the grid. And the Richard Mills safety car will head off into the pit lane. It is the responsibility of Bens Valent and Adrian Sutil to control the pace of the rolling start then, as the cars round the final turn and head towards the lighting gantry. Stand by, here comes race 2 for Trofeo Pirelli. And let's go racing. So Alessio Dono immediately on the inside line, trying to vault the front row. He is inside Bens Valent and also Adrian Sutil. If he can make this work, it will be a brilliant start from Alessio Dono. Tom Fleming trying to go around the outside of both of them as well. What a start from the second row of the grid for Alessio Dono, and potentially also for Tom Fleming as they head up through turn number 2, which is but nothing other than a kink. And they head up towards turn number 3, which is the very difficult right-hander where you're climbing uphill still. And there you can see how Tom Fleming is trying to get by Bens Valent. It's an argument that's going on for P2 at the moment, but a discretion the better part of valor as Tom has to dive back in. Now, it was a brilliant start from Franz Hengstler as well, who has vaulted himself up into the lead of the Trofeo Pirelli AM class. We were so busy and intent watching Alessio Dono's move through the inside of the grid that we missed out on Franz Hengstler, who's moved up a number of places. Brilliant start from Franz Hengstler. He finds himself P1 in Trofeo Pirelli AM as we watch Szymon Ladniak there in the all-yellow number 21 car. But a safety car, I fear, is not far away because stricken is the number 37 car of Mohammed Hamdi. Came so close to taking a podium yesterday. Safety car has been called for. Mohammed Hamdi is beached in the gravel. That car will have to be recovered before even one lap is completed in Trofeo Pirelli. We have the safety car out for the recovery of the Mohammed Hamdi car. The order is Alessio Dono, Bens Valent and Tom Fleming. And Franz Hengstler then moving up 3 places right at the start of the race. And he leads Philippe Pret and Danilo Del Favaro. And there is the stricken car that has called for the safety car, or provoked the safety car being called for, I should say. Time now to introduce my summarising colleague alongside me here, Nico Spalek. Wow, what a start.
Yeah, definitely what a start, and definitely Eliseo Dono very good on the inside, making the move. He did overshoot the turn, in fairness, and slingshot very far around. Generally, in turn 1 of lap 1, you're probably going to get away with that more often than not. But certainly, when, as we said, start is under investigation, and certainly that is something race control will take into account.
From what I could see, and I was very, very focused on the second row because, in fairness, that's where Eliseo and Tom were, the two really, really quick drivers. And I don't think, I mean, Eliseo Dono was just committed to that inside line, and once he'd put his nose in there was nothing that Bens van Lint could have done. And yes, he carried so much speed, and you could see Tom Fleming having to run across the rumble strips, and that's where Eliseo Dono did run really, really wide. But as you say, generally speaking, the race officials allow that during lap 1 because there are so many cars all going through the same piece of tarmac that sometimes you have to run wide. I think, to be fair, Eliseo was very clever and used it to his advantage and carried as much speed as possible. But I think if you're going to be able to get away with it, you will get away with it in on lap 1.
Yeah, absolutely. There is again the scene that caused the safety car, and as far as I could tell, was just a spin and nothing else.
Coldish tyres, Nico, carrying a little bit too much speed as he rotated the car, and it rotated for him.
It did indeed, and there we are behind the Richard Mille safety car. So opportunity for everybody to settle down. We're going to be in single file restart, and generally if race control thinks that something was amiss with the start, it's going to be announced the moment that the safety car dives into pit lane. So that's going to be a tense moment for all the drivers who may think that maybe I did something wrong.
Yeah, you know, there's lots of things that you can look at right at the start of the race, and we're delighted that there are a number of spectators here to look at the action on the track, and plenty of them, and they're enjoying not a complete lap yet, but we will get back to racing very, very soon. In the meantime, Ludovica, I believe, is with former star, still a star, Stefano Guy.
Yes, now we are under safety car, and I'm here with Stefano Guy, the coach of Hamdi. Stefano, what happened in the first lap at Mohamed Hamdi?
He did an amazing start. He started from P8, was P3 in the middle of the first lap, and after he spun. I don't understand now if he received some touch from behind, but I don't think so. So just spun and finished the race into the gravel. So first lap, and we finished the race. Races like that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stefano Guy there. Motor racing can be beautiful. It can also be brutal as well, and it has been for Mohamed Hamdi. I think Stefano, I think you're right. I don't think he did get a touch. I think it was just coldish tyres. Safety car is coming in at the conclusion of this lap. The lights will go out on top of the safety car. It will be the responsibility of Eliseo Dono to control the pace of the restart, and we will go back to racing, having lost not too much time under the safety car. Good job done by the recovery teams to get the Mohamed Hamdi car out of the gravel. So it will be Eliseo Dono from Bens van Lint and Thomas Fleming, and then for the AM drivers, Frans Hensler is going to have the comfort cushion, if you will, of Simon Ladniak and Max Mugelli behind him before the next best AM driver, which is Philippe Pret and Danilo Del Favaro. Danilo Del Favaro, of course, starting on pole position in the AMs this afternoon. So there we are. The lights have not yet gone out on the safety car, but they will at any moment, and that will be the firm indication to the drivers that the safety car is coming in. Now, you can see how they're all weaving from side to side, generating some temperature into those tyres. Each and every one of the drivers, perhaps with the exception of Eliseo Dono with the wipers on as well, because they know that there's going to be spray coming up from the cars ahead of them. Safety car lights are out now. The safety car heads off towards the pit lane, and we will go back to racing. There you can see the Richard Mille's safety car around the turns, and there is, it's a regrettable end of the race very early on for Mohamed Hamdi, who, as I say, he came very close to taking a podium yesterday, the Al Arab Automotive Company driver. His time will come, there's no question about that, but it's just very unfortunate. As Stefano said, he got a really, really good start, but then I just think that carried a little bit too much speed into the turn, which caused his car to spin around. Let's go back to racing then as they head towards the final turn and to get this restart underway. And Eliseo Dono, it's down to Bens van Lint really to anticipate when Eliseo Dono was going to give it 100% on the loud pedal. I think Eliseo has done a very good job with this restart. And away we go, racing again. You can still see lots and lots of spray being kicked up, and that will happen for a few laps before the water gets completely dissipated. I don't think it's raining now, and it is just the surface water that's been laying across the track that we are seeing by way of spray into those cars behind. And look at this already, very nearly a second up the road is Alessio Dono, but here's Tom Fleming on the outside of Benz Valent. Benz makes the car very wide. That decompromises, or compromises rather, the hope that Tom Fleming had as he dives to the inside now. Benz Valent will try and protect that inside line going into turn number 4. Turn number 4 is really tricky because of the camber of that turn. You're turning right, you're running downhill, and it's almost like the gravel trap is almost encouraging your car into it. And Adrian Sutil on the back of Tom Fleming now. So Alessio Dono, textbook restart, Nico.
Yeah, absolutely. Made no mistake, didn't look back and didn't have to. And Benz Valent now has to look back, and that battle and that defensive driving he has to apply certainly helps Alessio Dono to stretch his legs and wheels even more and build a cushion of already 1.655 seconds. No big moving in the back of the field either, so the AMS and the other Shell drivers are as they were at the restart.
So yes, we have the AMS and the Pirelli drivers in the same race. Alessio Dono, the leading Pirelli driver with Benz Valent. Then it's Tom Fleming. Then it's the guy that we ride on board with right now, former Formula One star Adrian Sutil, who delivered a brilliant, brilliant race yesterday. And he's lining up Tom Fleming now. Is he going to have a go going into turn number 1, the Niki Lauda turn? He is right on the bumper of Tom Fleming. It's a long way around the outside at Niki Lauda. Will he try and dive to the inside? Well, Tom Fleming protects that inside line. Here comes Adrian Sutil. He's got to be so brave and so confident. And the minute you put the car onto the painted curbs, you lose that momentum and traction. I think Tom knew exactly where he had to position the car to prevent Adrian Sutil coming through turn number 1. Will he have another go going into turn 3? He's not quite close enough, I don't believe. And there you can see the white, blue and red colors of Franz Engstler being hounded by Szymon Ladniak, who of course is a Pirelli driver. This is David Gosner, and David Gosner is up into P4, which is good showing from David Gosner. And you can see still plenty of spray being kicked up here. So David Gosner running P4, podium places occupied at the moment by Hanno Laskowski ahead, Philippe Pret and Franz Engstler. I think Max Mugelli was just having a go at Szymon Ladniak there. And here is Szymon Ladniak in the all-yellow car, and right behind him is Max Mugelli. So they are both Pirelli drivers running P5, P6 in category at the moment, and Szymon Ladniak having to defend from the hard-charging Max Mugelli.
Absolutely, and ahead of the two is Franz Engstler, our leader in the AMS. Behind those two are our next podium positioners in the AMS, which is Philippe Pret and Hanno Laskowski, running very close together. David Gosner chasing them, and they're coming into shot there at the very back of your picture. But there is Szymon Ladniak having to make sure that he keeps Max Mugelli behind him. Would love to get on terms with the Pirelli drivers ahead of him, but first of all, he has to make sure he doesn't get overtaken. And then there is the very small, actually not that small, piece of dispatching of Franz Engstler, who's really mixing it up with the Pirelli drivers.
No question. He has the pace to be able to do that. You'll see drivers take alternative lines here. Part of the reason for that is to try and unsettle the driver ahead of them. The other reason is to be able to see where you're going. And they'll come out of the spray that is being kicked up by the car in front. Max Mugelli was an exponent of that just a few moments ago. And here he takes a look at the inside of Szymon Ladniak. He's not close enough to be able to put the car into the 488 Challenge Evo size gap that was left by Szymon Ladniak, and that's because Szymon had the momentum and knew that Max Mugelli would not be able to take advantage of that. Alessio Dono, 2.1 seconds up the road already. Extraordinary performance from Alessio Dono, who has had a rich vein of success in the Ferrari Challenge. And here then is Tom Fleming and Adrian Sutil. Now, Adrian Sutil, he knows all about overtaking. He did plenty of it yesterday, trying to outbrake Tom Fleming now into the left-hander. Tom Fleming, of course, has got the inside line, which should prove to be the better line. But I'll tell you what, Adrian Sutil is just going for it here. Tom has to close the gap once again. But if Sutil remains committed to this, that will give him in the inside for the next turn, and he's done it. Brilliant overtake, well executed by the former Formula One star. Nico, he knows how to drive this Spielberg Circuit.
Yeah, definitely. Had all the confidence. You said it exactly right. he wasn't shy about that, and he made it happen. He just had to commit to it and stay alongside long enough for getting the inside through that chicane, and exactly that's what he did. So he is up into P3, and Bens Velland is 1.7 seconds between them. It's now down to 1.5 seconds, and dare I say, in 2 or 3 laps time, he might be on the back of Bens Velland.
I'd like to predict in probably 2 laps time. We know that Sutil has got the pace, hasn't he? So we will see. But it was an exemplary overtake from Adrian Sutil. Clean, tidy, and wonderful to watch. So let's see how he does here. The investigation that went into the start, we can tell you that there's going to be no further action. They deemed the start to be safe, and that's how slippery it still is out there, as Alessio Dono in replay there, giving us a sideways moment, which is not unpleasant for us to watch. It's not the quickest way around the track necessarily for Alessio Dono, but he has got 2.9 seconds in his back pocket, as it were, and sets the fastest lap, a 1:39.555. Well done, Alessio Dono. Up the road, escaping as he is before you see the all-black car of Bens Velland, then the hard-charging Adrian Sutil, who has gapped Tom Fleming already. So that proves that the pace that Adrian Sutil has. Max Mugelli will still feel very frustrated behind Szymon Ladniak. He's not been able to find a way by, and whoa, Szymon Ladniak then, the back end of the car stepped out. You could see him using the opposite lock to control it. Again, very entertaining for us. If Max had been a little bit closer, and there you can see Szymon is really, really sliding that car, and he's being pushed into that because he knows that Max Mugelli is just trying to find a way by. And Szymon is having to try and defend and drive as fast as he can as well. And maybe he's just overdriving the car a little bit under the pressure and threat. And Philippe Pret, of course, is pushing them as well. Philippe Pret, though, is in a different category. Right, can Max Mugelli get to the inside of Szymon Ladniak going into the Niki Lauda turn? Turn number 1, no, he can't is the answer to that. And here comes Hanno Laskowski in the blue and yellow 488 Challenge Evo. It becomes a 1, 2, 3, 4-way fight going on for the same piece of tarmac here. We've got 2 cars in Trofeo Pirelli, 2 cars in Pirelli AM.
Absolutely. We're watching Adrian Sutil, who is closing up on Bens Velland as we thought, but we keep our eyes peeled on this battle, on these battles actually, and Philippe Pret is in this difficult position where he really doesn't want to attack Max Mugelli, but he's kind of being pushed into that, because if he holds back too much, and that was almost an instant there, he will be vulnerable for Hanno Laskowski. But now Max Mugelli on the outside of Szymon Ladniak, on the inside of Szymon Ladniak, hopefully not into the back of Szymon Ladniak's 488 Challenge Evo. No, he gets it to stop and rotates the car, and this could all go wrong very quickly. We are almost half distance of the race, and this is real good entertainment.
Credit to the drivers there under extraordinary pressure. They're holding on to these cars in challenging conditions, doing a really, really good job here. I want to throw a curve ball into this, and I don't know. I mean, they've got the wipers going, but I think the wipers are going for the spray that's coming off the car ahead. Don't think it's raining right now, and half distance in the race. I just wonder whether they're going to start diving into the wetter parts of the circuit to keep the wet weather tyres in the operating window. Who knows? We will see how that develops. Philippe Pret, Hanno Laskowski and David Gostner, they are P2, 3 and 4 in Trofeo Pirelli AM. Hanno Laskowski, of course, touched the rich vein of success yesterday by taking the first win of the season for himself in Trofeo Pirelli AM, and it was richly deserved. And David Gostner is trying to take away Hanno Laskowski's current P3 place. He's charging really, really hard. There is David Gostner in the red and gold car, and for another lap, Szymon Ladniak has been able to keep in front of Max Mugelli. So Max Mugelli heading up now through the kink, which is turn number 2. Here comes David Gostner on Hanno Laskowski. It's a long way around the outside at turn number 3. Hanno's got the optimum line. David Gostner will probably try and get underneath Hanno Laskowski now, but again, when you're trying to drive that car and continue to climb uphill and turn right at the same time, it's all very, very difficult to do that. And David Gostner, who, as you can see from the chart on the left-hand side of the screen, has moved up 8 places since the start of the race. Brilliant driving from David Gostner thus far. Philippe Pret, Hanno Laskowski and David Gostner all welded together in that little battle that's going on, and still the all-yellow Szymon Ladniak 488 Challenge Evo leading Max Mugelli in terms of P5 and P6 in class.
Absolutely, and the fact that David Gostner has been able to attack Hanno Laskowski means that Philippe Pret for a moment was able to breathe a little bit easy, but as you can see, it changes very rapidly. And now David goes again with pressure on Hanno Laskowski, but the pressure is going to change, and there is David Gosner on the outside. Will he be able to make it stick?
Oh, this will be a brilliant overtake if he does. Oh, and Philippe Pret has gone around. Absolutely no one else involved in that. How did David Gosner hold on to that car, Nico? Because he had all four wheels on the painted stuff, which is oh so slippery. Well, I was trying to watch that and trying to watch Philippe Pret, who carried too much speed into the turn and lost the back end of the car. So much going on at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. And Hanno Laskowski, I think he hit the brakes a little bit when David Gosner went into a slide, fearing that he may be the bowling pin to the bowling ball that David Gosner's car looked like it would become. Didn't happen, and that allowed David Gosner to go through. And as you said, Philippe Pret's spin, totally unrelated, well, except for the pressure that he was put under. So Hanno Laskowski loses a place and gains a place at the same time. Means he's in the same position as he was before.
Absolutely amazing stuff. And remarkably, Philippe Pret obviously managed to keep his foot in because he has still retained a P4 place. So he's still ahead of Kim Eriksson and Danilo Del Favaro, which was a remarkable recovery when the car was sliding at whatever speed it was sliding at. Heart-stopping moment, I suggest, for Philippe Pret. I just wonder whether he got one of his back wheels onto the painted stuff, which is what David Gosner did as well. And there you see Hanno and David. They could have been so wrong-footed by the spinning Philippe Pret car. Let's see it from this angle. How did David Gosner hold on to that when Philippe Pret, ahead of him, seemingly with less tyre on the painted stuff, went around? Amazing car control from David Gosner, Nico.
Yeah, definitely. And so for him, he gains 2 positions in a matter of meters. Hanno Laskowski equal, obviously, Philippe Pret. As you said, he was able to keep the foot in and get going again. He's still got a healthy margin to the follow cars behind, but obviously he's now 4.8 seconds behind Hanno Laskowski. So he's, for the moment, he's out of that battle with 11 minutes remaining.
I have to say, you were probably right in that it's taken longer than I expected for Adrian Sutil to get on terms with Ben Svalent here. And Tom Fleming is beginning to come back at Adrian Sutil now. So this is going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Here's Kim Eriksson in the green 488 Challenge Evo. And he is being chased down by Danilo Del Favaro and James Owen as well. Here comes James Owen in the yellow and black car on the inside of Danilo Del Favaro as they head up towards turn number 3. Will he dive to the inside now, James Owen? No. He looked at it and thought about it and then decided, yeah, that's probably not going to be on for an overtake. Well done. Good driving from James Owen there. And Danilo Del Favaro is under pressure, and so too is Kim Eriksson. So Kim Eriksson in the yellow and black car, then it is Danilo Del Favaro, and then James Owen. Now you can begin to see drivers just looking for different lines around this track. Part of that will be to avoid the spray from the car in front. Part of it will be just to find some dampness on the track to keep the tyres working well. Wet weather tyres work really well in the wet, Nico, but in drying conditions, they become a little less effective.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you're in a battle, that is where it becomes difficult and where it becomes tricky. Now we get a time penalty announced to us.
For Franz Engstler.
Oh. And the reason for that is overtaking going off the track at turn 1, and I believe that may have been at the start as well, because that's the only moment where he really made up ground. Now, he's got a healthy margin over the next competitor in class.
Not healthy enough.
Well, he's got 8 seconds for the time being, roughly towards David Gosner.
So he's got to increase his lead by another 2 seconds for the penalty to be nullified, Nico.
Absolutely, yes, exactly. So right now, virtually, David Gosner is leading the race for the AMS.
Which would be remarkable for David Gosner, who started right at the back of the pack, Nico.
Absolutely, and he was leading in the race yesterday and wasn't able to finish it, and getting a chance to reprieve himself and to get good today. And there is our virtual leader in the AMS. Now, obviously, his team will have told him about the penalty and made sure that he knows that he has to push for 8 minutes and 40 seconds and whatever is left of the lap that he has started.
Equally, Charles Ponzi GT Racing will have fed that information to Franz Engstler as well. And Luca Engstler, Franz's son, who is here this afternoon, will be on team radio to his dad saying, come on, friend, you've got to push this now. We've got to make up another 2 seconds so that penalty is nullified. This is going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
Absolutely. Last time around, David Gosner was a 10th and 100 roughly quicker than Franz Engstler. We will see how that that changes.
Honestly, David Gosner then in pushing, he got the car sideways, held on to it once again, but that will have cost him the 10th and a half that he had, perhaps, because he was going sideways.
Absolutely, and it's exactly 1/10 and a little bit that David Gosner was slower the last time around.
There we go.
So it's going to bear watching for sure. 7 minutes, 40 seconds. That battle between Ladniak and Mugelli has quieted down a little for the moment.
For the moment, as Max Mugelli now is flashing his lights furiously at James Owen. Simon Ladniak, I beg your pardon. James Owen driving the other yellow and black car. This has raged really all race long thus far, but credit to both Ladniak and also to Mugelli for their racing craft. They've been clean and tidy. And there's been 1 or 2 attempts, and I venture to say that I think Max Mugelli has probably got the pace, Nico. But it's all very well having the pace, or better pace than the car in front of you. You've got to find a way by it. And thus far, Max Mugelli has not been able to do that. Simon Ladniak has been able to position the car perfectly to not allow Max Mugelli to come through. It's his right to do that. He's got track position, and certainly not going to wave anyone by.
No, definitely, and that was just a very good example where Simon Ladniak took an unorthodox line, but he just did it to defend to make sure that if Max Mugelli wanted to go by, he had to do it all the way around the outside, and there was no way to do that. Now, David Gosner, behind that couple, he's going to push, he has to push, but there is a limit to how much he can push without having to overtake those two. So that puts him a little bit into a difficult position because Franz Engstler has 4 seconds of clear time ahead of him, so he can just look and focus on himself.
Just watching the David Gosner car, Nico, which is sliding a lot now, which is reinforcing what I was saying about how you need to keep those wet weather tyres cool. And I'm not sure that David Gosner has been doing that because I just don't think the grip that he was looking for is not there, perhaps, on occasions now. Interesting. Here is our race leader, Alessio Dono. Lighting up the brake discs, or if we were in the States, they would be called rotors, of course. And he lights them up as he breaks through that turn. You can see the amount of water that came off of the curbs then in that super slow-mo replay, proving that the water is still being held by the curbs and the painted strips as Tom Fleming is now taking the fight back to Adrian Sutil. And, Adrian Sutil all of a sudden is having to defend from Tom Fleming. Tom going to dive to the inside now. Adrian Sutil on the outside, but he's got a little bit more momentum. So this is the battle for the final podium place in Trofeo Pirelli. Now, Adrian Sutil got by Tom Fleming earlier on, but now, has Tom looked after the tyres a little bit better than Adrian Sutil, perhaps? It's Alessio Dono from Benz Valent and Adrian Sutil for the moment. For the AM drivers, it is nominally Franz Engstler P1, David Gosner P2, and Hanno Laskowski is P3. With Ludovico right now is Manuela Gosner.
Manuela, what a race for David. He's pushing so hard today, and it's a very exciting race.
Yeah, we are super excited, and I cannot wait for the last minutes. It's super tough. He did the pole position in wet this morning, but unfortunately, because of the track limits in the previous races, he had to start in the last row. But he did a fantastic start and get immediately 5-6 positions. And now he's fighting for the first position with Franz Engstler, and because he got a 10-second penalty. But David is doing so well on the wet and tricky conditions. It's his comfort zone, it's his time, and he's really doing an amazing job.
Thank you, Manuela.
Thank you.
Cheers, Ludo. Thank you, Manu. Here comes Tom Fleming then, continuing to put the pressure on Adrian Sutil. There's Sutil in the number 5 car. Tom Fleming in the number 73 car as he looks to the inside. Here comes Tom Fleming then going into turn number 4. And Adrian Sutil runs a little bit wider, but again, he's able to carry more speed and protect that P3 place that he has, Nico.
Yeah, absolutely. We're still watching the timing screen with the Franz Angstler, David Gostner gap, and it's now become just a little bit more than 10 seconds. So even virtually, Franz Angstler has regained that P1 position, and it's David Gostner's unfortunate situation that he's behind those two drivers ahead of him, which are Pirelli drivers, which he doesn't have to overtake, but they occupy exactly the space he needs to push into.
And they're slowing him, aren't they? Well, the pace that David Gostner has got means that he cannot do anything about it without going by them. And with just 3 minutes of the race remaining, he doesn't want to be gung-ho and bin the car in his attempt to do that. But Szymon Ladniak and Max Mugelli, who have had a torrid time of it in terms of protecting their positions. Well, Szymon Ladniak protecting his position, which he's done stoically against Max Mugelli, who's been charging really, really hard. But David Gostner now, is he going to dive to the inside at the conclusion of it? He's not close enough. Not close enough to be able to do it. However, Max Mugelli dives to the inside of Szymon Ladniak. Ladniak gives him racing room, and he had to do that. He was forced into that because the gap that he wanted to turn his car into was not there anymore. It was full of Max Mugelli, and here comes David Gostner. Now, he's not involved really in a battle with these two drivers, but he needs to try and reduce that gap to Franz Angstler to under 10 seconds. And Max Mugelli and Szymon Ladniak and David Gostner slowing now. I think he missed a gear on the exit of that turn, and that's put him back significantly. And what have we got? 2 minutes remaining. Max Mugelli, I don't know how many laps it was, he tried to get by Szymon Ladniak. He was very bold going into turn number 1, and he had to send it, didn't he? That was the only option. Racing room was left by Szymon Ladniak. Respect to both of the drivers, because that could have so easily been a panel-bending moment.
Absolutely, and I think with that incident where David Gostner had to slow down, I think anything barring a mistake from Franz Angstler or possibly a safety car, which would bunch everybody up, those 10 seconds by Franz Angstler will not be enough to get David Gostner into a P1 position, even virtually. So final lap, we got a yellow flag, as you can see. That is in turn 1 where those drivers are now heading. So that means maybe someone, we believe based on our timing screen, it may be Andreas Berg Sorensen, who's shown as stopped on our timing screen. So there is yellow flags, as you can see, being waved. So no overtaking through there. Only from the next green flag, which is being waved. And there you can see on the right-hand side. This is where Tom Fleming might have a go at the end of this straight, but Adrian Sutil trying to defend. Does he defend enough?
Well, they are side by side, and Sutil has just got the momentum. He got the traction, hadn't he? But I'll tell you what, that was the best effort from Tom Fleming. And given that we are on the final lap, Nico, he's not going to have another opportunity to do that going into turn number 3. So he's going to have to try in turn 4, which is altogether more tricky, in my opinion. So Sutil and Fleming, expect them potentially to be side by side for the remaining turns. Meantime, Eliseo Dono is up the road. Tom is trying to put the car wherever he can to try and wrestle that P3 place back again, which Adrian Sutil took away from him several laps earlier. But for the moment, Adrian Sutil, who of course is so experienced, bear in mind you've got a former Formula 1 driver in Adrian Sutil. You've got a driver making his racing debut this year in the number 73 car behind him. So credit to both of those drivers, and credit to this man, Eliseo Dono, another young superstar who heads towards the checkered flag to take the win in Trofeo Pirelli. Eliseo Dono, P1. It's going to be Bence Valiant in the all-black 488 Challenge Evo that takes P2. A brilliant drive from Bence Valiant. And it's going to be Adrian Sutil that just seal a podium place. Tom Fleming P4. Now Franz Angstler, Nico is doing the calculations as we speak. Surely he's 10 seconds ahead of Thomas Gostner. I beg your pardon, David Gostner. And if that remains the case, it means that Franz Angstler will keep the win. David Gostner will be P2 and Hanno Laskowski will be P3. Go on, confirm it for me.
Confirmed, yeah,
Thank
definitely. Max Mugelli and Szymon Ladniak may have overtaken Franz Angstler by virtue of the penalty. I don't even think that's the case, no. And David Gostner definitely takes P2 in class. Very creditable in any event from P last on the grid.
Yes.
Eliseo Dono, he did all the hard work all the way into turn 1 and then didn't look back, and celebrates a clean sweep here in Spielberg takes both race wins after not that successful a weekend, and Franz Engstler comes back to his winning ways, overcomes the penalty and gets back into the P1 position, and you will see that on the podium in just a few minutes as he will be overflowing with joy. He has won 6,479,000 trophies or something like that, but he celebrates each of them as if it were the first.
And there is Luca Engstler looking down. Luca Engstler himself, a hugely successful driver. I mean, the Engstler family are renowned for motorsport prowess, I think it's fair to say. And take nothing away from this young man, Alessio Dono. He was such a bold moment going into turn number 1. You'd got to be 150% committed. And he was. And it worked, Nico. I'm really, really impressed with him.
Yeah, definitely. You think Luca Engstler was putting that victory and that in the list that I just mentioned? It's a very long spreadsheet, to be honest, and I think that is Andreas Borg Sorensen, who is classified in P17 overall, P11 in class, and there is the car that unfortunately didn't see the checkered flag, which brought out the yellow flag. And here, white on black is the result for you.
Alessio Dono taking the win in Trofeo Pirelli ahead of Ben Svalent and Adrian Sutil, then Tom Fleming taking P4. Franz Engstler, winner in Trofeo Pirelli Am. He's ahead of David Gosner and Hanno Laskowski, who's had a good weekend, and Philippe Pret banking P4. The rest of the order that you can see on screen. It was a really, really tricky race, and I bet you it was tricky for the drivers with wet weather tyres on what was a still damp track, but not altogether wet. I think that's fair. That's what it looks like, and I don't think it is raining at the moment. Alessio Dono being congratulated by everyone, as you would expect, and they're always very vibrant on the podium when Alessio takes a win, which is fairly regular. And he will be going back to the top step of the podium. As you say, he had a kind of a forgettable weekend in Misano, didn't he? He was steady on, Alessio. He's pretty happy with that, you know.
Yeah. He didn't have the results in Misano. He had the speed, but sometimes you're lucky, sometimes you're not. That time he wasn't. Today he did everything right, and this weekend he put it all together. Ben Svalent will be happy. I think he understands that once Alessio Dono was past him, there was nothing he could do to catch him, and he got a win in Misano. He's got P2 today. Good weekend,
Very good.
Good points haul. And there is Franz Engstler. Yeah, I think he's happy. Yeah, I think he's happy.
The thing is, you have to look at the Ben Svalent. If Ben's had done a few more races, he'd have known, wouldn't he, to park that car on the inside line and not let Alessio through. You know, it comes with experience, Nico, and this is what I find absolutely fascinating about the Ferrari challenges. You have drivers with lots of experience, like David Gosner here, for example, who's been congratulated by Corinna and Manuela, and nephews as well. And oh no, don't go onto the top of the car, please, David. And you have drivers with lots and lots of experience, some complete newcomers. You know, it's such a varied mix. It's wonderful to enjoy. Okay, let's take a look at the pit show now as we catch our breath again.
Eliseo, congratulazioni doppietta qui a Spielberg. Oggi partivi non come al solito dalla pole, ma un pochino più indietro. Hai fatto una
So Ludo speaking to Alessio in Italian, and she will be translating to English in just a moment.
Per il trofeo Pirelli su bagnato, come ti sei trovato e come è andato poi tutto il resto?
Sì, come hai detto tu, non siamo riusciti a conquistare la pole oggi, ma siccome è la mia terza volta sul bagnato che provo con queste macchine qui, sono molto felice di aver pure vinto quindi la gara con un ottimo passo. Devo questa vittoria a tutto il mio team, a Pietro, a Luigi, al mio ingegnere Carlo, a tutte le persone che dalla qualifica in poi mi hanno aiutato. vedere video, filmati, telemetria e grazie a loro se abbiamo vinto pure questa gara qui tutti insieme. Quindi la dedico a loro, la dedico innanzitutto pure a tutte le persone che mi seguono da casa, la mia famiglia che mi sta guardando sicuramente e ci vediamo alle mani al prossimo appuntamento.
Grazie mille Eliseo. Eliseo is very happy for this double win in Spielberg. He dedicated this podium to its team that worked so much in this weekend, and see you soon in Le Mans.
Thank you, Ludo, for translating that for us. It was chapter 5 of the Alessio Donno novel of success. We'll be speaking to Franz Engstler, who, of course, took a victory. And so Franz Engstler, he'll be pretty happy with that. Let's hear from him now. He's with Ludo once again.
Franz, congratulations for this podium. Another success for you today.
Absolutely, and it's really special. Well, Spielberg is my home race. I'm not far away from here, and this is so important. And I'm really, really happy for this victory. And yeah, it was a fantastic race. Difficult situation sometimes, and the weather condition was not really easy. But yeah, this is motorsport, and this is what we like. Thanks a lot.
And Franz, you fight a lot with David Gosner, who was a very competitive opponent.
Yeah, this is what I said. It's really fine to fight with another driver as David. If the fight is fair, so we can really push very hard. But in the end, everything was fair, and this is motorsport, what we expect.
Thank you so much, and congratulations again.
Thank you to the team. Did a perfect job. Thanks a lot.
Well, the fight, of course, was virtual because there was 10 seconds between Franz Engstler and David Gosner, and Franz is really pleased about that. Virtual podium of Trofeo Pirelli that we're seeing here. Alessio Donno, P1, Benz Valent, P2, and then taking P3, Adrian Sutil. Here is the virtual podium for AM, and it's Franz Engstler, David Gosner, and Hanno Laskowski. There we have the highlights then. And wow, what a race that was from Trofeo Pirelli, Trofeo Pirelli and Trofeo Pirelli AM drivers. Here are some of the statistics. Take a look at the Trofeo Pirelli AM best progress. David Gosner moving up 10 places. Brilliant drive from David Gosner. And top speeds came from Tom Fleming in Trofeo Pirelli, 240.4 kilometers per hour. For Franz Engstler, 237.7 kilometers per hour in Trofeo Pirelli AM. We will be heading up to the podium next.
Today,
So Michele Mabelli is up there on the podium, and he is bringing the drivers out for their prize giving. First of all, it will be Trofeo Pirelli. Here's Adrian Sutil then, who takes P3. Taking P2, we'll see Bens Valint making his way to the podium right now. Here comes young Bens. And then on the top step of the podium, it will be Alessio Dono. And he goes to the P1 spot on the podium. His team always supporting him very well. And of course, the team's represented as well, the Radici Automobili team. And here's the national anthem. So the anthem plays out now. It's time for the trophy presentations. And Alessio Rovera, the Ferrari official GT driver, is making the trophy presentations. First of all to Adrian Sutil. And he receives the P3 trophy. Taking P2 will be Bens Valint. 2 P2s he's had this weekend. That's not a bad story of success. They're always loud and proud in support of Alessio Dono, who takes the P1 trophy and dedicates it to the team, as he always does. Pino Frascaro there, really enjoying the podium celebrations. Pino, of course, is one of our Copa drivers. Here comes the Pirelli presentation. Double bubble, of course, for our Pirelli drivers, who get not only the race awards, but also the Pirelli trophy as well. Lucio Vergani making the trophy presentation, head of Pirelli Motorsport. And the photographs are taken. They're all together on the podium for the photographs. Let's take a look at the cars then that drove those drivers to the podium positions that they occupied. For Goem Baron Motorsport, Adrian Sutil, P3. For Otto Corse, Ferrari Budapest, Bens Valint. He takes P2. It's been a good weekend for Bens. And then for Radici Automobili, Alessio Dono. Top step of the podium, P1. Let's take a look at the points now then for Ferrari Challenge Trofeo Pirelli. And here they are then, 87 points for Alessio Dono, 56 points for Tom Fleming, means he's P2, Max Micheli is P3, Bens Valint is P4 in the Trofeo Pirelli Drivers' Championship points at the moment. Up next, we will be bringing you the Trofeo Pirelli AM podium, where we will be seeing Franz Engstler, David Gosner and Hanno Laskowski. And of course, we will be updating the points for Trofeo Pirelli AM drivers as well. In fact, the team are working on those points as we speak. Here comes Hanno Laskowski, race winner yesterday, P3 today. Not a bad weekend for Hanno. And a brilliant drive from David Gosner then, who nearly heads to the back of the podium. This is the right way, David. Step number 2, well done to you, friend. And on the top step of the podium, for, as Nico said, countless time, it's Franz Engstler, who has a rich, successful career in motorsport. And national anthem plays out for France right now. To the very left of the podium is one Mr. Manuel Reuter, former DTM champion, who of course runs the Charles Pozzi GT and Engstler Motorsport team. And here's Alessio Rovera, once again the Ferrari official GT driver, to make the trophy presentations. There's Manuel. He very nearly tripped him up, didn't he, as he was heading towards the trophy presentation. There's Hanno Laskowski receiving his. Well done, Hanno. Good weekend. And taking P2, a brilliant drive from David Gosner. And then taking P1 on the top step of the podium, then it's Franz Engstler. Well done, Franz. Manuel Reuter then receiving the Charles Pozzi GT. Before the photos have even been taken, David Gosner. Well, almost as blistering a podium ceremony start, because David Gosner is soaking everyone in champagne. Brilliant stuff. Right, here are the top three then in Trofeo Pirelli Am, or rather the cars that were driven by those guys you've just seen on the podium. Hanno Laskowski for Emil Frey, P3. P2 for the MP Racing, David Gosner. And for Charles Pozzi GT Racing, Franz Engstler. And as promised then, the Drivers' Championship points in Trofeo Pirelli Am. Franz Engstler leading by 27 points over Hanno Laskowski. Nicola Rossi sadly missing this weekend. He's P3 in the Drivers' Championship points. And then the rest of the order, you can see, up 2 places. David Gosner, now P7 in the Trofeo Pirelli Am Drivers' Championship points. That's the way it looks. So Trofeo Pirelli racing done from Ferrari Challenge. We do have a Copa Shell race to come as well from Spielberg in Austria, where the question will be whether the drivers will be on wet weather tyres or whether they will gamble on slicks. That will be interesting to see. Thank you so much for watching Trofeo Pirelli from Ferrari Challenge. Please follow us on @Ferrari Races. From Nico, from myself, thank you so much for watching. Goodbye for now.